my friends. Day 35 of my 40-day spiritual journey, which I have talked about in other videos. If you want to hear about that, feel free to look backwards at some of my earlier videos. Today, though, I wanted to talk about something that's been going on creatively, actually. And within this 40-day spiritual journey that I'm taking on with the inspiration of Teresa of Avila, I'm also traveling with 12 animals from the Dream Arc. And I chose those animals before I even started. And I didn't really know how they were going to fit into this journey. I just let them unfold, let them come in when they wanted to. And they ended up actually informing art journal pages. I had made myself this art journal to take on this journey. But I didn't know how I was going to use it. And the animals have started populating it. At first, I was doing an animal maybe once a week. It just would come to me. I started out, of course, with the robin. And then the giraffe came in and wanted to give me a message. And then the bat came in. And then the caterpillar came in. And like I said, these were very slow-paced. Then the toucan came in. And then the turtle came in. And the turtle lit a fire in my belly, right? So this turtle, who is the guardian of this group of 12 for these only 40 days, lit this fire in my belly. And I recognized that I am close enough. I was close enough to be actually able to put a Dream Arc animal into an art journal page and get all of them in there by the end of these 40 days. However, I didn't recognize that this would also speed up my inner work, because each of these art journal pages and each of these messages from these animals are potent. Potent what? Touch points for personal growth. And because I chose these animals, clearly they were resonant with where I am in my life and where I am on this year-long journey that I've been on, this journey of doing the whole golden path with 13 other women, going through each of our gene keys and each of the spheres in this particular order, which is very challenging and very transformative. And so by speeding up these art journal pages and coming to the end of this 12-month journey on the golden path all together at the same time, I've been confronted with some patterns and at the same time inspired with some delicious visions for next year. All of it's been coming fast and furious. So, and it kind of came to a head in the last day when I did the owl page. But let me start. So that was started with that turtle. It's a very, very bright page. There's all these striking colors and this fire in the belly, and the turtle saying, "Be all that you can be." Be that fire in the belly. Be that person you can be. Be that person who has the gifts to transform not only herself, but to help to hold space for everyone else to transform as well. So the next page came about because of the pulse of Gene Key 11, and this was a totally different style. Much more muted, much softer, much more sparkly. The paint that I used is very shimmery and iridescent. And that one was a vision. That was a vision of what I want to hold for next year. I want to hold this idea. May I graciously hold the ideal of heaven on earth. Yeah. Hold the hold the ideal of heaven on earth. I'm not unrealistic. I know heaven is not on earth now. In the hexagram, heaven is actually 3 yang lines, which is the ultimate in creativity. It is this burst of creativity. So what would happen if we brought this heaven to earth, this burst of creativity where everyone was creative and everyone was kind to everyone else. Everyone knew and understood forgiveness. Everyone actually understood themselves and came to all of their problems from their very own authentic selves in order to solve the problems that await us in this chaotic world with creativity, with love, with partnership, with fellowship, synergy in groups. What if all of that were to come about as we move past the chaos of the dying epoch that is in front of us at the moment? Anyway, so that brought up this beautiful idea of graciously holding the ideal of heaven on earth. Now, to be able to hold that ideal, I need to be able to also sit with the reality of the world. And what you're doing then is sitting with the reality here of me here, and then the ideal is here, and there's a tension there. There's a tension there, right? And in that tension, I can actually live my version of heaven on earth. So I can bring it closer to me personally. I can bring forgiveness in. I can bring understanding in. I can bring sovereignty in. I can bring all of the qualities I've already talked about into my personal life. But I also realized to hold that tension, I needed other qualities. Courage, of course. All of my own personal gene key qualities, which would be strength, self-assurance, presence, resolve, relaxed resolve, equality, harmony, equilibrium, all of these beautiful qualities, graciousness, bringing all of them forward, and at the same time bringing forward a lot of patience. I have impatience as one of my shadows. So patience is a quality that I have learned to nurture in my life. And I did a whole page then on patience because I am traveling with the elephant. And so that is a quality I want to continue to bring into this next year. It was one of my words for this year. But since it's part of my chart, it will be a constant reminder to just be patient with myself with that ideal that I want to hold next year. And then came this page on the owl. All right, so the owl actually designed the page. The owl has designed the page when I was, half asleep one morning, and I knew that I wanted to bring in my acrylic paints and this stencil, and I wanted to cut a beautiful owl out of a magazine or a book, and I wanted to have some hidden message there on the page because the message from the owl is trusting in the unseen. So there's got to be this quality of unseenness somewhere on the page, right? But that was the only thing I knew about the owl, that it was trusting in the unseen. I hadn't read the message for since I'd picked the owl, back 35 days ago. So, and I hadn't done any underlining or really taken it in. I just knew I was going to be traveling with this owl. You know, it's one of my BFF's favorite gene keys. And so 48, sure, that would be a great hunter to travel with. So I started this page yesterday, and and I'm making, I'm filming it and made a nice reel about it and everything. And I'm going, oh yeah, I got this. I've got this. Hoo, hoo, hoo. This is easy. Boop, boop, boo. Had to wait for the paint to dry because this is acrylic paint. It takes a bit. And in the meantime, I'm, making the page that is the obscuring page, is the one that's hiding the message. And then I realized I didn't have a message to hide. So I thought, oh, shoot, I'm going to have to journal. So I thought I'd even film the journaling. So I started journaling, and I started reading about the owl. And I recognized that the owl was giving me a really important message. I had realized that once again, I had been provoked by my husband's sons, and that's mostly his oldest son here, and then his youngest son who's in California. I had been provoked, continue to be provoked by their behavior in relationship to their father. And I keep allowing this provocation, even though I continue to also unpeel the layers of why they provoke me, right? I don't just sit and allow them to provoke me and then react to them. No, I use that as an opportunity to look inside of me to see what's going on with me. And this message from the owl was such a perfect reminder. I am right now in Devoted in this, we're in the pathway of service. We are moving towards the final sphere, which is the pearl, which we'll do next week. But we are in this pathway of service. And the pathway of service is, how do you take all of this incredible inner work that you've done that has released so many of your old patterns? How do you take it in then to serve others on this planet? How do you do that? Now, one of these ways is me talking to you on video, right? But another way is to me actually work through the shit in order to change the relationships that I have. And that's what Owl was reminding me of. And this just reminds me of the very first Star Pearl action triangle I got, which included this pathway of service between my vocation of graciousness or dishonor and my brand of strength or force. And I tend to fall into dishonoring my emotions and other people's emotions, and then forcing issues, forcing conversations, forcing behavioral changes, even if it's just in my mind. So the owl came in and talks about trusting in the unseen. I right now, what this looks like to me is wanting to my husband not to suffer because his sons are suffering. My husband himself takes on, he was a single parent for many, many, many years, so he felt like it was his job to fix his kids. I mean, that's one aspect that people think is parenting, right? And I've watched him this year as he's battled with cancer, letting go of more and more of the fixing of these, trying to fix these kids, because he actually has force in his Gene Keys profile as well. So he's in the past wanted to force things with his kids, and they don't respond well to that. Imagine that. And as he's been having these after effects of his cancer treatments, and yes, he is cancer free at the moment. Because of his medications, his energy level has been off, his whole rhythm has been off kilter. And so he has let go of this forcing. But now what I see him in is the somewhat depressive, and maybe a better word for him would be melancholic, hurting, because he actually is holding this vision. Speaking of that vision I was talking about, he is holding a vision of his sons at their zenith. He sees his sons at their potential, at what they could be achieving. And then he is unable then, though, to hold that vision. He wants it to be reality. So he is suffering because he seems to equate their suffering and not meeting their potential as something that needs to be fixed. His suffering is seeing what he thinks his sons are doing as suffering. And me, okay, so I'm going to go back to me now. That's the dynamic that I'm watching. And I'm watching him suffer from this, right? I am being triggered in wanting to dishonor my husband's suffering, which is perfectly legitimate. He's a father. He loves his sons. He wants his sons to succeed. He wants his sons to be loved. He wants his sons to have relationships and a wonderfully fulfilling job. Of course he does. I'm wanting to take his feelings away from him because I'm suffering from his suffering. That's just not cool. And the owl, this whole page just made me realize what I'm doing. Let Tim feel bad. Let him. It's not ruining his life. Let him be melancholic about this. It is legitimately his feeling. I need to stop forcing conversations around fixing this. What can we do to help your sons do blah, blah, blah? What can we do to help you feel better about such and such? Bullshit, me trying to fix him because I feel uncomfortable. I need to get used to I just need to be okay with my own discomfort. And once I'm okay with my own discomfort, I can hold the space for him to be okay with his discomfort, which then holds the space for who knows what else. I don't know what'll happen. It's the unseen. I need to trust in the unseen. I need to trust in the oldest son's journey through adulthood. I need to trust in my own husband's journey through fatherhood. I need to trust in my own journey of discomfort, my own journey of not trying to fix people, my own journey of letting people blossom through their own human emotional states, right? So that's what's been coming up for me here in this pathway of service that I'm in, on this 40-day journey that I'm on, with these art journal pages that are coming from the Dream Arc. And it's been like one thing after another, and it's confronting every day. And I have the tools to handle it every day because I have done this golden path, because I've looked at my gene keys, because I have found what works for me, because I have esteem for myself, I have respect in the journey, and I believe in the benevolence of this universe, even though humanity's journey is a fucking bitch. It is hard to be human. And I have all the compassion in the world for everyone who is on this human journey. It is hard, and it is so rewarding. It is so rewarding to find out those places in ourselves that are blocked, those places in ourselves that need light, those places in ourselves that want to expand and to touch our own greatness, to bring heaven to earth through our own unique expression, right? So, thank you. Thank you for listening to me today. And yeah, I know this was a little long. I've been doing all these 3-minute reels, and they've been all so cheerful and lovely and hello. And yeah, I've grabbed your attention for 3 minutes. But it's good to go deeper. It is good to go deeper. Thank you.